You're listening to Radigan's RockCast, a series focused on talking about music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even current. Now, here's your host, Tom Radigan.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to Radigan's RockCast. Now, this is another edition. Of course, you've seen me on my YouTube channel, but I am also on SUNY Oswego's radio station, WNYO. This will be playing on that. This is also playing on other platforms such as Spotify, SoundCloud, or wherever you listen to podcasts. And let's just get into the meet and greet, and you will find me wherever you find me, okay? Wherever you find me, that's okay. Tommy's here for you. Alright, actually, I don't go by Tommy, I go by Tom or Thomas. Anyway, let's move on. So we mentioned in the last edition, talking about the top 10 songs from the band, and I said that I would talk about top 10 songs from Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Young. And am I going to break that promise? No, of course not. I never broke a promise in my life. Okay, maybe that's not true. But anyway, let's get to the point. So, we've got 10 songs, and this is they're mostly from, like the band, they're mostly from their first two main albums. Because Crosby, Stills, and Nash were first, they were first just Crosby, Stills, and Nash before, Young joined in their second album. Because Ahmet Ertegun from Atlantic Records felt like they needed Neil Young. And, it worked pretty well. Of course, they're a band known for harmonies and all that stuff. And when Neil Young joined, Stephen Stills, who was really the multi-instrumentalist of the group at that time, was able to, collaborate with Neil Young on guitar work, go back and forth, because they were both good at playing lead guitar. And so they were able to, keep going back and forth with that. And because, Neil Young he's Neil Young. I mean, he's got great songs already. So how would you not? If Neil Young is asking to join the band, how come you would reject Neil Young and say, no, you can't join the band? It's Neil Young. It's, also, yeah. But they were able to come up with great music. There is a song from a later album, which we will get to at the point. Why not? Let's go into this. So instead of doing, how I said top 10, I got to keep reminding myself, this is not a top 10 list. This is a top 11 list, because I felt like there were songs that I didn't want to not mention once, all the songs that I thought of, and it was 11. And I feel like I got to do that. So we are going to go to number 11. So we're going to start it. Yeah, so we'll start with number 11, and it's Almost Cut My Hair, which is from the Deja Vu album and is written and sung by David Crosby. Now, mostly with a lot of the songs, of course, they all four of them dominate. They all had the star power because they were from all previous, famous rock groups. David Crosby from the Byrds, Stephen Stills and Neil Young from Buffalo Springfield, Graham Nash from the British group The Hollies, and all that. They all were these stars already to begin with. But this song, because David Crosby, I would say, of one of the compliments I would give him is that he just has a great, soft, angelic voice, just very, very calm, very soothing. But he's able to go a little bit in that rock element with Almost Cut My Hair, be a little bit more of a louder type of rock star. And it really helps because you've got Neil Young on it, you got Stephen Stills, playing the guitar, and of course, and it just works well. That's how this works. And it was also great about it too is with this song Almost Cut My Hair, with Neil Young on it. Neil Young didn't play on some of the songs from the Deja Vu album, mostly Graham Nash stuff and even some Stephen Stills stuff. But I mean all of their stuff. Not like it was just there were specific songs he just did not. He really just played on the songs that he wrote on. But he did. But the only two there and the other song is on this list, which we will get to eventually. But yeah, no. But this works well. It was also I also found out that it was basically one of the only songs that they recorded all together with all of them in, nobody overdubbing or nobody doing all that. And they just all did it together. The whole band did it, the drummer on it is Dallas Taylor. The guitar guy is, the bass guitar is Greg Reeves, and they are also seen on the Deja Vu album cover as well, too. And their names are also credited in the bottom, all that stuff too. But yeah, that that great rock song that basically talks about, you know, the hippie age and not giving in to the establishment. I love the line, "I'm not giving in an inch to fear." You know, just you know, works pretty well. Just very, you know, that just like if you're in a rebellious mode, I would recommend Almost Cut My Hair, because it'll help you. It'll help you through that. And you know, David Crosby, like, you know, just singing through it. You know, just it's like, wow, it'll just be like your eyes will be blowing up and you'll be seeing a new world for you people. Okay? Alright? So, now, let's go to number 10, which is Just a Song Before I Go. Now, this song is from it's not from the first two main albums. It is from the 76 album CSN. And that is just, of course, the three of them. And, you know, for a while, because, like, you know, they did their first two albums and they kind of broke up and then went on to do their solo stuff. But they'll also say that they never really broke up because they were never really a band. They've always said, because, you know, Crosby, Stills, Nash, you know, and the reason why they put their names together was because they were all individual musicians that were just working together. They all knew that they were going to end up doing their own projects after, you know. But, you know, so, you know, because, you know, they were such a big thing, fans wanted them to get together, you know, again, and all that stuff. They performed they did a tour together in 1974, and they actually played with the band. I think they were on the same headlight in Wembley with also Joni Mitchell. And, so, Just a Song Before I Go, is basically, you know, a song that was written by Graham Nash. And Graham Nash told the story. I found a story on Stephen Colbert a few years ago, and I just, you know, rewatched it. Was when apparently, you know, he was, you know, there was this drug dealer he was with, and this drug dealer, I guess, was kind of like antsy and just, you know, not a nice person, you know. I mean, I don't know how many drug dealers are nice, but, you know, hey. Yeah, no, so, anyway, he goes to him and says, like, you know, I bet you can't write a song before you go. I bet you can't write a song before you go. And I guess, you know, he proved him wrong. And no, it's a beautiful melody. I mean, the harmonies are good. I mean, that's what works about Crosby, Stills, Nash. I think with that album, with some of those songs, you know, it shows that, you know, even though that they weren't working with each other for a little while, all that type of, you know, power was still there, you know, and all that. And it just works well. Okay, so coming at number 9, we've got the title track of the album Deja Vu, of course, Deja Vu. And that is a song written by David Crosby, and it works pretty well. It's funny because it's like, you know, of course the word's not in the song, but, you know, it already, you know, describes it. If I felt like I've ever been here before, I would probably know just what to do. But the way it goes, it's a little, not psychedelic, but just in a loop, you know, the way it goes in, like, and just like, you feel like you're just listening in circles and circles and circles and all that stuff. And and the harmony, I mean, of course the harmonies are great. You know, David Crosby's voice, this is a song that shows his, like, kind of angelic voice, you know, his calm, soothing voice that he still, you know, thankfully has today at the age of 80, and all that. But works. And what also another thing to mention with it is, even though Neil Young did not play on this record, another famous guy did. And the harmonica is played by John Sebastian. Now, John Sebastian was from the Lovin' Spoonful. Now, if you don't know what the Lovin' Spoonful is, I will spoon feed it to you all. Okay, that's how nice I am. They did, you know, Do You Believe in Magic, Daydream, and also, if you like 70s television, or if anybody's a fan of the show Welcome Back, Kotter, he wrote the song Welcome Back, which a lot of probably people see now in the ads of the Applebee's and all that stuff. So, anyway, so just a little interesting fact there. So then we've got, at number 8, we've got Wooden Ships. Now, Wooden Ships is, okay, one of my, I think it's one of my favorite Crosby, Stills, and Nash songs, honestly. I think it works so well. And this song was, is a duet kind of between David Crosby and Stephen Stills. And this song works really well. It was written by both of them, and Paul Cantor from Jefferson Airplane. I think I'm saying his name right. I'm like looking up on the spot just to make sure I'm saying his name right. Yeah, Paul Cantor from Jefferson Airplane, and it was claimed that they were writing that they came up with this and they wrote the song on David Crosby's boat that he was on. And it's basically like about an apocalypse and all this stuff. And this is an interesting fact for the school of SUNY Oswego, which I just found out yesterday after talking to my grandma. I was on the phone with my grandma, and it was this weird. It's like one of those weird coincidences that, like, there's just one of those weird things you find that just suit your interests. And there's this little kind of circle, a little bit like a memorial and all that stuff, like a little place to hang and all that stuff. And it says on the bottom, dedicated to, it says like Free and Easy, dedicated to Free and Easy by Crosby, Stills, and Nash. Like, it was dedicated from the song Wooden Ships, because the line in the song's free and easy, the way life's supposed to be. And, I just thought that was very funny and very interesting fact for people who are listening from Oswego. Okay, now, another thing of this song, what I love is, the beginning, like the ticking. I think that works well for the type of theme of what the song is, but also too, like the guitar, how that goes in, very, it sounds like a very like late '60s song, and it shows that these guys are going into a different level. They're far past like the stages of the Byrds, the Hollies, even Buffalo Springfield. They're reaching a new level of enlightenment for music and stuff like that, and more creation, and it shows in this song. And it's just like the lines that, like, how Stephen Stills starts, with his voice and all that stuff, and then, David Crosby comes in, like, and they do, like, kind of like an answer, like, like a dialogue in a song, and, it's just, like, hearing both of them, they're both very gentle and all that stuff, Stephen Stills has a calm voice in this song, too, and they sing it both well together. I mean, both of them can, carry a tune, and the harmonies work well with Graham Nash, singing the harmony on that, but, I mean, like, I love the line, like, say, can I have your purple berries? Yes, I've just been eating them, and just, like, both Stephen Stills and David Crosby just rock this song. Definitely a great song, which is on the Crosby, Stills, Nash album. Definitely a song worthwhile. So coming in at number 7, we've got Our House, which is from Deja Vu, written by Graham Nash. Now, this is an interesting story, so you're going to want to listen to this. Okay, because, of course, the other biggest musician at the time, around the folk rock era, was Joni Mitchell. And Joni Mitchell was in a relationship with Graham Nash at the time. And basically, they were, they were sort of, living together and all that. And they were in a serious relationship, like, both loved each other and all that. And, they were just walking one day, and she bought a vase, and basically he just said to her, I'll light the fire, you place a candle in the vase, you place a flower in the vase that you bought today, and that's how the song was born. And it's just, it's just talking about a simple family life, and all that. And because there was the anniversary edition of Deja Vu this year that came out, there is a demo version that I heard of Graham Nash singing this on the piano with Joni Mitchell, which you want to hear this, with Joni Mitchell accompanying him, and singing it as a duet with him. And it works well. It's a very, just a very beautiful song. It's kind of funny how I first actually got aware of this song, because I honestly got really into Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and Young, this year. I mean, I knew who they were before, but never was a huge fan. But then, how I really got into it was there was this episode on the show This Is Us, because Mandy Moore's character Rebecca is a huge fan of Joni Mitchell, and they go to the house where the song was inspired of, Our House, and she tells the story of it too. So it's I found it really interesting and all that, and then I ended up really loving the song, and it was one of the big singles from the album too, Deja Vu. So coming at number 6, we got another Graham Nash song, which is Marrakech Express. This song was actually a song that he wrote while he was with the Hollies, because, the reason why he left the Hollies was, these guys weren't really going in with most of the times, like the guys that were in it, Alan Clark, Tony Hicks, Bobby Elliott, all that stuff, and they did not like these, Graham Nash was doing these stuff and it just wasn't working for them, and there is a demo of them doing Marrakech Express, but, he ended up, handing it over when he was doing stuff with Stephen Stills and Dave Crosby, and they did, and they did it pretty well. And I think what works well in it too, it's like the instrumentation is so perfect in it. Like I love the bass line, and like when I listen to it, it's like how I talked about instrumentation last time, how it really is important when you gotta listen to a song, you gotta listen to it in different ways. You gotta listen to it like you never did before. That's kind of how I feel when you listen to a song, that you've loved, But what's so cool about it is when you hear Graham Nash sing, the music is just so out there, singing it with him, doing because there's a live version of him and Dave Crosby doing it in 1970. And David Crosby's, doing kind of the instrumentation by doing that do 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 do, and but the way you hear the instrumentation when Graham Nash is singing, it just works pretty well. You've got the bass, you've got that bass roaring in at you and stuff. And that was, I think, Stephen Stills who did a lot of the instrumentation on that part. And the vocals worked pretty well too, and the harmonies and all that stuff, and just it's just shows their peaceful type of harmonies, and just very catchy song, and it's the second song on the Crosby, Stills, Nash album, and so definitely one of their other songs that is worth checking out, and one of their first singles that became a big hit, So now we got at number 5, which I would probably say is the biggest anthem of the late 60s, and of course of one of the biggest music festivals that ever happened in rock of all time, which is Woodstock, and the song is called Woodstock. Now, we mentioned Joni Mitchell before. Joni Mitchell also has another important part in this song because she wrote the song. And now, an interesting story about it was that Joni Mitchell was supposed to be at Woodstock, but it was also the same weekend she was supposed to be on the Dick Cavett show. Now, the Dick Cavett show was her big TV appearance, and you know what? I'm gonna dumb it down to people who maybe not know who Dick Cavett is. Dick Cavett is the Stephen Colbert or Jimmy Fallon of that day and all that stuff. So it was this really big television performance for her, and the promoters did not think she'd make it once that thousands of millions of people, they didn't think there was no way she'd get out of there in time to go to the show, to tape the broadcast of it. So she did not go. Turns out they did actually have time, because if you watch Woodstock and all that stuff, if you watch that Dick Cavett show, David Crosby and Stephen Stills, they were all able to come on and all that stuff after, but they didn't know at the time. But so she's hearing people talking about the festival, and this is somebody who didn't even go to Woodstock, yet she was able to understand what it was about, how prolific it was, even though it just happened, and it's this and she wrote this kind of mellow tune down, and she showed it to the guys, and Stephen Stills loved it, and he said can I have it? And he goes I'll make he says you won't be sorry, and all that stuff, she was a little reluctant at first, but then she was all right. And then when it became a hit, sure. But the thing that's interesting about this is that Stephen Stills sings the song, but Stephen Stills is the one that made this song work. He took this little Joni Mitchell mellow kind of song and made it this ballsy rockin' song. When you listen to the beginning of the song, when the guitar is just coming at you, the bum 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 bum, and then it just it dances, it's just bum 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 bum. Okay, I'm not gonna go too much into it. I'm not gonna embarrass myself too much for you guys. You should know I've already probably been doing that for a while. But anyway, no. So Woodstock is but yeah, it works really well, and this is the other song that Neil Young did not write that he did perform on. And you can tell with that guitar. Like, it's funny because, like, when I looked it up and I found out that Neil Young didn't do, really play on any songs except 2, I had to check it, like, to see which ones, and I could just think the ones that came into my mind were Almost Cut My Hair and Woodstock, because those are the very, because, I think Neil Young has that guitar sound, I think Neil Young wants to be there for the rock stuff, Neil Young, I don't know, was a big fan of the folk stuff, of the very, simple folk ballads that, some of the songs that they were doing, but it just works, the harmonies are well, Stephen Stills just, like, really, I think, does a good job at expressing and showing the emotion in Joni Mitchell's lyrics that she wrote. Works pretty well. There's not that much to say about it. One of the best Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young songs. It's definitely something that was prolific for the time, and I think it's something that can definitely be considered still an anthem, and something that, people can take to heart, and people can really get something out of it. So we come in at number 4, we've got Teach Your Children. And that's another Graham Nash song, and that was a song that he actually wrote while he was in the Hollies in 1966. That was another song that just, they did not want to record and just didn't really work well. So, of course, he took it over to Stephen Stills and David Crosby. And, they were able to come out with a great tune of it. And another famous musician was on this. Of course, Neil Young was not on this, but Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead. Now, the reason why, too, is because this came out in 1970. Jerry Garcia, during the Grateful Dead, wanted to do more of a different, like, folk kind of element than they were doing, like, the psychedelic stuff. They loved what Crosby, Stills, and Nash were doing. And they wanted to, capture that as well. And you know what? They did. They captured it so well. It worked really well, and all that stuff. Like, when they did Grateful Dead, they captured it pretty well with their harmonies and all that stuff. So, it really paid off. Jerry Garcia does a hell of a steel guitar on this. And for a second, I forgot who I was talking about, because both of these groups were so prolific, and these albums were both great. I mean, honestly, their Grateful Dead album, Working Man's Dead, was considered just as, like, I think, in some lists, like number 2, or just, like, behind Deja Vu, this album and all that stuff. But no, and you could definitely tell of Jerry Garcia's guitar style, because it sounds a little like, Dire Wolf from the Grateful Dead, a little bit with that style, because after, it ends, I can kind of feel like I can hear the, like, oh, where's Dire Wolf, where's the Dire Wolf style, it kind of reminds me of that, and, because certain songs can remind you of stuff, and you sometimes don't know how it can, because it doesn't mean necessarily it's copying, but it just, music is similar to each other, music is not, like, it's not so much always ripping each other off. Music is going to sound similar. There aren't enough chords out there to be a completely original act, You always are getting inspired by somebody, And that's how it is, Okay, so coming at number 3, we've got Helpless, which is a song from Deja Vu that Neil Young does. And one of the biggest songs of the group that Neil Young does, which we have another one too that he does that you might probably know or know what it is, but this works pretty well. Like, it's so the chorus is fun, like helpless, helpless, helpless. But an interesting fact is, it mentions Lake Ontario, and because I go to SUNY Oswego, we are by Lake Ontario. Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young's got a lot of references between us in upstate New York, and all that. But yeah, works. But and also because Neil Young's from Canada as well. Very soft type of tune, but works well. Catchy. The harmonies work well. This was, I think, one of those songs that Neil Young just sent their parts to them, because David Crosby explained in a CBS Sunday Morning interview not that long ago that when Neil joined the band, he didn't really join the band, in the sense like that. He sent the parts away, he sent the parts to them, and his part and all that stuff, and they would do the backing vocals and all that stuff, which, I think it was like, it is what it is. That's just how Neil Young was, but it works pretty well. So coming at number 2, we've got another Neil Young song, which you probably know, which is Ohio. And this song is a song, and now we talk about prolific. I mean, this song was written right after the horrible mass shooting in Kent State in 1970. So 51 years ago, that was when the protesters, when police officers shot 4 students down, and it says in the song, 4 dead in Ohio, and the reason and the story how this song came about was that because Neil Young wrote it, and he was with David Crosby, and David Crosby showed Neil Young this article, and Neil Young goes off to the woods on the guitar with the article, and then an hour later comes back with a well-polished song, and David Crosby calls Graham Nash, and he goes like, and he says it very seriously, it's like, you gotta come down here. You get here right away. Get Steven, get Bill Harvinson, who was their engineer. He's like book the studio, get the band, get everybody. Like it's like we gotta record this, and it was just this. It was just like that. They had it was just a quick recording. Deja Vu album was already out, so they did this, and basically. The thing about it too was Teach Your Children was rising up to the charts of how Graham Nash was describing it, and it was becoming a really big hit record, and they killed their own single by releasing that because they felt that this song was more important, and all that, because this was about making a statement, a political statement, or just a statement of humanity, for people getting gunned down and all that stuff, from cops. It was like the way Grant Nash described it, was like we were killing our own children, and but you can feel the anger in all of them in this song. You can feel the roughness, and you can feel that, in this song, times need to change. And I think, that's why, especially during around this time, I think these songs are perfect for, what goes on, what has been going on in the world for these past few years, and all that. And, I think it's, it's just, and also, too, an interesting fact, too, is that, from what I found, is that, what's so cool is, at the end where, David Crosby is saying, how many more when 4 dead, how? And then just, he's asking more and more. And I found out, I saw something, somebody said that apparently, David Crosby took this so emotional that he apparently, broke down in tears after. And honestly, I could feel that, singing a song with such emotion about such a sad, sad topic, I think, and singing it in such heart and singing in such passion, I think can lead to, emotional tears, because this was, a horrible topic, and these guys were people who, didn't love their country and were just making music that, represented what was going on, So coming at number 1, we've got probably, one of the, probably, you're not surprised probably because I haven't mentioned it already, and it's Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, one of Stephen Still's signature songs, and it works pretty well. This song is basically, like Graham Nash, Stephen Stills also had a famous girlfriend, which was Judy Collins, and that was, Judy in that. And what's cool about this is, you sometimes wonder, is it a love song, or is it about a lover's spat? I mean, what is it really, And I think, what works well, it's the opening line, too, just shows you, too, that it's brutally honest, and that's what shows you what's so great about Crosby, Stills, Nash was that they were sophisticated. They weren't writing these songs I love you till the cows come home, or stuff like that, They were writing serious lyrics, and, and talk about serious topics, and it's the line, it's getting to the point where I'm no fun anymore. And, writing throughout the song, it's this doesn't mean I don't love you, I do, that's forever, and you'll always be. And, I mean, this is the song that defines what Crosby, Stills, and Nash is about, with the harmonies, represents Stephen Stills' ability of writing a great song. It's a 7-minute song that has a few different sections, And it's one of those songs that just can put you in a peaceful mind, just listening to the whole thing. And then when it breaks off to other sections, like, and then, go into a little bit of guitar and then going like, Friday evening, and just like the beautiful harmonies, and then like, just listening to that, like you should listen to it in the sun or just outside, or just, or close your eyes and just hear those, like, those beautiful voices coming at you, and it's like, I got an answer. And and then of course it ends with the great, like, do 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 do. I mean, just how it goes from the different sections of going into like specific parts where it's like, this little, peaceful thing, and then going like to this guitar, like a boom 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 yeah, and then just breaking out in the end of this happy, like, kind of like and that's the song. And I was watching something about it the other day, a few weeks ago. This guy had a YouTube video of it with the interviews from Graham Nash, David Crosby, and Stephen Stills, of how they recorded it, and that it was just like when they recorded it, Stephen Stills just thought it wasn't right, so they did it a second time, and are you kidding? It sounded great, and then they tried again, and there was no second version. Apparently, the way David Crosby said it, it wasn't, And I think, like, I don't know if you can find it and stuff like that. But there's other good versions of them doing it. There's a version of them performing it at Wembley, and it's funny because you hear an audience member scream, like, right when they're playing, like he's about to play, because fans do right away. A fan screams out, "Sweet Judy Blue Eyes!" And, And it just shows you how much, like, fans love their music. And then also them doing it in 2012, they had a performance of them doing it. That also works well. And in that version, of course they were older at that time. You could tell, they still got the harmonies. They still got that sound, I mean, unfortunately Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young are not playing together, and who knows if they ever will, due to some personal issues. But they, at the time when they did, they came up with some really great music, and they brought a lot of joy into people, and just told people how it is, but made people feel they're not alone. And I think that's what's great about this group, and that's why I wanted to share my thoughts on these 11 songs. So that's it for today's edition of Radigan's RockCast, and I will see you guys next time. So just remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Tom Radigan. Also check me out on WNYO, SUNY Oswego's radio station, and also the other podcast platforms. Okay, thank you very much, and I will see you guys in the next podcast. See you guys. Bye.